Hey guys, with set 10 just under a week away, this video is going to go through the key steps you should take before playing Ranked when it's released. The new set release will mean Ranked will be reset and the first games will determine your initial rank. These are especially important as you gain and lose much more LP than normal in order to put you in the right rank. So making the right preparations beforehand will give you the best chance of being placed higher and save you a lot of time climbing the lower ranks. So we're going to start with the most basic thing you can do to prepare for Ranked, and hopefully you all plan to do this anyway, but that is actually playing the new set. As I just mentioned, your first games of Ranked are very important for skipping a lot of the lower ranks, so the last thing you want to be doing is playing the set for the very first time in your placement games. You can play the new set right now on PBE by signing up for a PBE account, which takes just a few minutes. If you'd rather wait for it to be released, then you can simply play normal games for the first week. This might also be a good idea in general, as that way you can wait for the meta to be established and get more insights into what works and what doesn't. I'd look at trying out as many different compositions as possible to get a feel of what you enjoy and what does and doesn't work for you. Next up we have to research the best openers, which is the initial board you put together before fighting your first player. Researching the best openers is especially important in this set, as the headliner mechanic means opening boards are much stronger in this set compared to the previous ones. Not only does a headliner give you a 2-star version of the unit with additional bonuses, but it also gives you a +1 to one of their traits, which means the number of active synergies you can get in your openers are much wider. And as with previous sets, the composition guides I release, the first of which will be on the day of set 10's release, will provide 4 openers for each comp, so you'll have plenty of options tailored to specific comps to look out for in the opening rounds. Another big change coming from set 10 which you will want to familiarise yourself with before playing Ranked is the levelling patterns for each type of composition. A lot of the level's XP requirements and unit odds have been changed, which means the optimal rounds to level up and find your units have completely shifted. If you don't spend the time to learn these new patterns for each type of composition, such as 3-cost reroll or a 4-cost carry comp, then you're most likely going to fall off in the later stages of the game even if you get off to a good start. I've just put out a video specifically for the new levelling patterns for 4-cost carry comps, which goes into a bit more detail on what has changed and why, so if you're interested in learning more about those types of compositions in particular, then I'll leave a link in the description below. Next we have learning the new traits and how they work. There are a lot of unique traits to set 10 such as EDM or KDA, which you'll need to spend some time learning even if you don't plan on playing those compositions. As there's a lot of variance to games of TFT, there are going to be some games where you get given a load of units of a single trait and you're forced to play it whether you like it or not, else you go in 8. Not only will this help you to be more flexible when playing your games, but even if you're not playing those traits, knowing what they do and how they work will help you with positioning and itemization against other players that are using them. I'll leave a link in the description below to view all the trait information, but really the best way to learn is by playing them, either in normal games once the set is released or on the PBE as I mentioned before. Similar to the new traits, you need to research the new units as well, specifically what their abilities do, how they scale, and the best items for them. Most TFT sites have all the set 10 information set up by now, as well as team builders to allow you to play around with composition building. Spend some time dropping in different units to the builder to see what combinations you can make. I personally like Mobilytics set 10 builder as they've made it very easy to activate the headliner and select which has the +1 trait. Another quick way to get a feel for the new set is to watch high-ranked streamers, specifically the ones that are informative. My personal favourites are Bebe, Frodan and Bunny Muffins, as they usually talk through their decision making whilst playing, which is a great way to learn for new and intermediate players. This next one is for those of you playing the PBE or watching streamers play the PBE. Take what you see there with a pinch of salt. The meta on the PBE is very rarely what will be the meta in Ranked. Players have nothing to lose on playing on the PBE, and will take more risks and experiment more, which is why you will often see crazier boards like 3-star 4 or 5 costs. Ranked will be much more tame as players are less likely to take unnecessary risks. The next one is scouting, and it isn't exactly something you should do before Ranked, but I think it's worth mentioning to be aware of before playing. Scouting is more important in this set due to the fact that Riot has reduced the champion pools, which makes being contested way more damaging. Gone are the days where you'll see top 4 players all playing the same comp, looking at you multicasters. Before committing to a composition, you want to be scouting the lobby to ensure no one else is contesting you, else it's going to be tough fighting top 4 positions against players that are uncontested. Next up we have patch notes. Make sure you read them on release, as they not only give you the changes, but a lot of the time they give context on why the change has been made, which gives a good indication on what will and won't be strong for the period of that patch. Don't just look at the trait and unit changes, but also look for changes to any items or augments, as these can have a big impact on certain compositions. Finally, and maybe the most controversial one in this video, is learning a set of different compositions to play. The reason this is slightly controversial is that this set has put in a lot of changes to encourage playing flexibly rather than going into a game with a certain composition in mind. And although that is the case, having 4 compositions of different types and itemization you're comfortable playing will really help where you get given conflicting directions from the game or you're contested. I would suggest learning 4 compositions, 2 AD and 2 AP, with one being a reroll composition and one being a 4-cost carry composition. An example could be Annie reroll with Spellweavers for AP, and Jinx reroll and Rapid Fires for AD, and then Disco Twisted Fate as your AP 4-cost comp, and Viego Edgelords as your 4-cost AD comp. It doesn't mean you should look to play one of these 4 compositions every game. You should still look to play flexibly, but it will definitely help in situations where things aren't going well, and having a composition to fall back to will definitely reduce the amount of bot 4s you get. And that's it for this video. I hope you found this helpful. I'm currently getting the first composition guide ready for Set 10's release, which will have the 5 top comps I'll be using to climb ranked. So if you want to be notified when that goes out, then subscribe to the channel and I'll see you then.